Hello and welcome back to another episode of 20 Somethings Podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Sarah Birch. And I always get so out of breath for some reason. I think when I'm setting up all the equipment and everything, I just get like anxious and nervous for some reason. But anyway, we're just going to ignore that. I'm wearing my Browns football t-shirt that I thrifted. Not a clue who the Browns are. If you were to offer me $1,000, I would not be able to tell you what team. I mean, I know they're football because there's a literal football helmet, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what city they're from, whether they're a college team or an NFL team. Feel free to let me know if you feel very inclined to, but I personally don't actually care that much. I just thought it was a cute shirt, and I liked the brown and the orange together. It's like, a good vibe. So welcome back to the podcast. If you're new here, hello, welcome. This is the place where me, along with about 150 other podcasts, talk about life in your 20s. Such an original idea and such an original name. It's so funny when Amanda and I started this podcast over a year ago. So when we sat down, because I knew I wanted to start a podcast and I kind of swindled her into it. We were going back and forth as to what to name it, and I had all these kind of fun ideas. I love alliteration. So I was like, the Zillennial Zeitgeist. And she's like, well, if I don't even know what it is and I'm a co-host, how are we expecting people to be drawn to our pod? And I'm like, oh, damn it, you're right. So then we had a few other ideas, like two blondes, one mic or something. I don't know. It's cringy to talk about it now. We were like, okay, so what is this podcast? What is the essence of it? It's two 20-somethings sitting around talking about life. And then I was like, what about just 20-somethings? And she's like, I love it. And then we just were like, okay, let's roll with that. And then I just sort of added on podcasts because I don't know why. It just is 20-somethings podcast. It just is what it is. It's TSP. And you get a little teaspoon of reality, compassion, humor, love, all of those things. So yeah, welcome to TSP, and I might rebrand one day. I don't know. I think about it sometimes, but I also love this podcast. I love what we do here. And by we, I mean all of us guys, mostly me, but all of us. I love getting the random messages from people who are like, you make me feel less alone. You make me feel like I'm hanging out with a friend. You make me feel that's what I'm here to do. That's what my passion is. My goal is to make it feel like you're hanging out with your girlfriend or your best friend or whatever. And we're just having chats about life where there's no judgment and no sugarcoating around things and no expectation of what's right and what's wrong. It's just a place where you can just talk honestly about heartbreak, love, insecurities, mental health, and I guess that's it. So I don't know why I had that huge introduction, but I just kind of wanted to explain, I guess, the genesis of the podcast. But this is kind of a funny story. So I was just doing a interview, a meeting with a potential client, and they were asking a little bit about me and, about my experience and stuff. And they were asking about my TikTok, and they're like, oh, so you're familiar with TikTok? I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to edit on there, add sounds. I know how to do the basic stuff. I wouldn't say I'm a TikTok whiz. And then they're like, okay, so how many followers do you have? Which is a question I'm getting a lot now, just in interviews or different things, meetings. And it's so sad. It's sad that we live in a world where I may not get this client because I don't have a huge TikTok following. What world do we live in? But it makes sense for the type of work I'm going for, to be help with videos, content creation, editing, stuff like that. So anyway, it's kind of funny, but I don't have a lot. I have 110, I think, on TikTok, but I'm not even upset about that because A, there's bigger issues in the world, but B, I don't try on TikTok. I post little clips of the podcast, and a few videos of Darla, and that's it. I cannot muster up the energy for some reason to make content in general these days because it's winter, it's February, I'm exhausted, I'm just not in the mood. I know I need to be on TikTok, that's why I am on TikTok, but it's not at all my priority, which is kind of funny because it should be my priority because that's where everybody is, that's where all the money is, that's where all the viewership is. But with that being said, please follow me on TikTok. Speaking of social media and followings and everything like that, I wasn't quite sure what to talk about this week. Next week, we're going to be talking about Valentine's Day, dating, whether romance is dead, all of that stuff. So I was like, okay, that's next week because that'll drop closer to Valentine's Day. But this week, I don't have anything to talk about. So I was like, what should I talk about? And a topic I've been wanting to discuss a little bit lately is influencer culture and how toxic it is, how dangerous it is, and not at all coming at this with the lens of like, let's rip apart influencers. Like, that's not at all what I'm going for. I just kind of want to talk about this weird zeitgeist, let's bring that word back, that we live in right now. And I mean, I feel like I have enough of a veil of like maturity and realism and experience to like block out a lot of the crap I see that influencers post. But for a person who's like literally a child, like a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, like they might not have that ability yet, or they might not have experienced enough like real life to understand that this is very much curated or an ad or misleading or dangerous, like these tummy teas and diets and weight loss pills and like those things you put around your waist to like cinch in your stomach. Anyway, so I guess I just wanted to talk about how I view that stuff now in my 20s versus how I felt about that stuff when I was younger and kind of what my concerns are. Probably everybody went into that type of field with like the best of intentions. Like, I just want to share my love of makeup. I just want to make people laugh. And then once the coins get involved, once the moolah gets involved, everything just always becomes more toxic. And then people's like morals and dignity like goes right out the window if you can make like a $500,000 campaign with whatever it is, flat tummy tea or whatever the hell it is. So one person I just wanted to give a little shout out to, who's a bit of a controversial YouTuber, is Stephanie Lang. So I don't know if you guys have heard of her or watched her. She's like got, I think 1.6 million, something like that. And she has over 1 million followers for sure on YouTube. And I think she has other platforms too, but I think YouTube's like her bread and butter. And she started like 6 or 7 years ago. Like, she used to kind of play by the rules of YouTube, like doing the trends and then doing like family vlogging and all that stuff. That's still very, very much, very popular and very like PG-13, like the type of stuff that YouTube likes to endorse. But now she's kind of taken this like awesome radical turn with her content. Don't judge her strictly by her thumbnails though, because they're like so clickbaity. Her actual content, like if you just look at the thumbnails and the captions, like it looks kind of trolly and weird. But the actual content is like really, really important and like well researched and well presented and like just short little snippets. It's almost like episodic. Like all of her videos for the most part are like under 20 minutes or 15 minutes. And she just dissects like the straight up lies and falsehoods of society and culture and social media and like the immense pressure that people feel when they look up to influencers and compare themselves to influencers. And by influencers, I guess I could also tie in celebrities, models, like everybody's, if you're like making money off the internet now and like selling stuff online using, you know, your name and your face and your brand, like I guess by some degree you are an influencer. So, you know, we could be talking about Gigi Hadid, we could be talking about Sydney Sweeney, we could be talking about like the traditional influencers like Tammy Hembrow, just like anyone who has a pretty strong following on social media and makes the majority of their earnings from Instagram or TikTok, like Jordan Lipscomb, like there's a whole bunch of them. These are like ones that I personally maybe follow or whatever. But yeah, like I think in general, when I'm having this discussion, I think I'm just like referring to young, like hot, successful, rich people who have a large following, whether that be a traditional celebrity or whether that be more of like a digital celebrity. So just like keep that in mind, I guess. But yeah, she just like breaks down, and some of it you could really see as like body shaming or trolling. I don't really personally see that way. I think it's just like a dose of reality and like hard love that our society needs right now. Like she'll show the face-tuned photo of like Tana Mojo, for example, and then she'll show like the real photo that was taken by a paparazzi or something, and you'd be genuinely shocked at the difference between what people are posting online versus what they really look like. And they look beautiful and normal and healthy in both of them, but it's not the same body at all. The skin texture is different. The skin color is different. The size of the hips, the size of the shoulders. And she always says, like, you know, there's certain things you can tweak. You can lose weight, you can gain weight, you can get a nose job, you can get lip filler, you can dye your hair, but you cannot change the like structural makeup of your body. Like if you have wide shoulders or like wide hips, or if you are like bow-legged or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, but for the most part, like I got broad shoulders and very wide hips. I have like freaking birthing hips, man, I'll tell you. I've always had very wide hips, and they just keep getting wider and wider as I get older and become more of a woman, and am in my like prime childbearing years right now. Like, and I keep bumping like my hips into things by accident because they're just like wider than they used to be. Like they're just, my brain hasn't caught up with my body, but like I'll bump my hips into door frames and stuff all the time. I'm like, whoa. And just lots of things. Just my body looks a little different now than it did a few years ago. It's all a journey, but I'm trying to embrace like the more womanly, curvy, normal body that like has cellulite, that has hip dips and hair, like foot hair, pubic hair, whatever. Sometimes I get the odd chin hair. That's okay. But it's hard when you're reinforced every single day on your TikTok, on your Instagram, whatever, that people, successful, loved, cherished people in society are hairless, cellulite free, and not overweight. And then even one of my favorite fitness influencers, her name's Whitney Simmons. She has like really bad, it's not eczema. It's the other skin condition that I think also psoriasis, I think it's called. Kim Kardashian has it too. But yeah, she gets really bad psoriasis and you can see it on her skin. And she talks a lot about that, and she still wears her little sports bras and like lives her best life, even though her skin isn't like the ideal skin, quote unquote, that you might see online. So there's definitely influencers or people with influence or whatever, popular people online, I don't know what the right word is, that are worth the follow and that are actually contributing positively for the most part. I'm sure everybody has controversial, problematic moments, like that's normal, but someone like Stephanie Lang or someone like Whitney Simmons or Ashley Graham, I think they're totally worth the follow. I think that, yeah, sure, they're selling things and they're making money online and they're doing brand deals, but like they're also representing positive messaging and actually trying to make a positive difference in the world and using their platform for more than just making money and looking pretty. Oh my God, I feel like I'm going to sound like such a Karen in this. Like I said, I'm really not hating on influencers. And I think people who hate on influencers or famous people or models or whatever, just because that's what they do for work, like those people are just jealous. Like if you're spending all day like trolling on influencers and like ripping apart every single thing they do, like you do need to get a life. And that's not at all what this is about. Like I'm just commentating on my personal favorite influencers, so to speak, that have actually had a positive impact on my mental health and my journey versus trends. I don't even know if I'll call out specific people. I mean, I guess I called out Tana, but like it's Tana, like she can handle it. But versus people who I actually had to unfollow or I just stopped interacting with online because they were making me feel, and probably not even by any fault of their own. I mean, it's not their fault. They're so goddamn gorgeous. I mean, a lot of them do have, you know, a little nip and tuck and pluck and filler and stuff, and good for them. But like I had to unfollow Gigi, I had to unfollow Kendall, I had to unfollow Bella, just to name a few. They have never done anything to me personally. The content they post is beautiful, like high quality, great artistic stuff. But I just found myself comparing my body to them in every single photo and hating my life and hating myself and feeling bad and turning off my phone and feeling worse than when I turned on my phone. And that's just like literally masochism at its finest. Like we're just torturing ourselves. And yes, I suppose you could find it influential in whatever way or inspiring, but I can't use them as a proper, realistic, I feel like I keep using the word realistic, but like that's kind of a key word in this discussion, as a proper, fair barometer for how I should look or how I should come across in photos, because we have very, very different bodies. The reason I compare myself to supermodels is because I'm freaking tall. I'm 5'11". I'm a tall girl. So of course I compare myself to other tall girls like Taylor Swift or Gigi Hadid or Kendall Jenner. Like all these girls are the same height as me, but they are way thinner and have a little bit more narrow hips and skinnier legs and less cellulite and bigger boobs. And I am aware that they also have, nutritionists. And this is the thing people do need to keep in mind, especially young people who might not be as aware or as educated, is that these influencers and celebrities have access, obviously, not just to like the best cameras, the best editing software, whatever, but they also have, the best plastic surgeons, the best nutritionists, the best fitness instructors and personal trainers. They have all of the help that anyone would ever need to be like the most gorgeous, perfect version of themselves. So you have to keep that in mind. It's not a fair comparison. But yeah, I've been trying now to follow models. For example, like Camille Kostick, I think her name is. She's dating that guy Gronk, that football player. But she is like a amazing supermodel, like blonde. I'm assuming she's quite tall as well. I don't actually know her height, but she does like Sports Illustrated and stuff. And like my girl's got some body. Like she's still definitely a traditional like white, cis, blonde, gorgeous girl, but she's got, wider hips and a little bit more of a belly and a little bit more curve to her and like more muscle on her. And she looks like healthy and fit. And so I was like, okay, these are the type of people that I need to start following, because that is actually something that I could use as inspiration, that I could potentially get to. I'm never going to look like Kendall unless I literally want to get like my hip bones and my rib bones removed. Like I will never look like Kendall. So yes, we're the same height, but we are not the same in any other way, Yeah, so I've also been trying to compliment other women. I'm still not quite at a place yet in my like body positivity journey where I'm able to compliment myself very often. I still rag on myself and my body almost every single day. I have gained a bit of weight in the last few years, and I have filled out in terms of boobs and butt and hips. Like I look definitely more womanly than I ever have before, and I'm trying to accept that, but it's not an overnight process for someone like me who had a fixation for many years on being skinny. But instead, I'm kind of working my way up to that by like complimenting other women online. So I used to see, and like this is not pretty to hear, and this is like a hard truth, but like I don't really give a crap. The fact that I felt this way is not so much a reflection on me as it is on the messed up society we live in, and like how much concerning media and photos and imagery and stuff is being fed to young boys and girls. But I used to look at like photos of Hilary Duff or something, I don't know, and I was like, ooh, she's put on weight, or like she really would be so much prettier if she lost 10 pounds, or like that outfit would look so much better if she just was able to like lose a bit of weight. Like you can really, like the fact that you can see her tummy just like really ruins the outfit. And I still catch myself having little thoughts like that sometimes, like, oh, she looks like she's gained some weight, or oh, you can see her cellulite there. And I'm not going to beat myself up for that. Like, what? Cuff me, throw me in prison. I'm a human being who like makes observations and passes slight judgments on people just like people do to me. But what I am doing that actually is important is that I'm noticing those things and I'm actively trying to change them and redirect my brain and my thought patterns and my neurotransmitters to actually think different things. So now I'll look at photos, and even if my initial gut instinct is to say like, oh, she gained weight, I now will stop myself like literally dead in my tracks, and I will say, oh, she looks really healthy, or she looks really confident, or like I love her, even if it's something not at all body related. Like I love her hair, I love her smile, I love her outfit. And even on my Pinterest board, I have like a fitness and body goals like section. But I made it a point to myself to only save pins or save photos in there that actually look like me and look realistic to my type of body frame and my type of, because what is the point of like exposing myself to these tiny little bodies that I will never have no matter how hard I try? And that's something I had to grow into. Like that's not at all the same mentality I had when I was 20. I was like, I don't care if this destroys my mental health. I want to look good. I want to fit into those pants. So toxic diet culture and workout culture and hustle culture is like a whole other beast that I could go on and on about. But I like automatically lose respect for people who are selling any sort of like diet supplement or any sort of like waist trainer or some sort of tea or gummy to make you suppress your appetite or lose weight. I'm not talking about like actual fitness programs, like if someone's promoting Weight Watchers or like MyFitnessPal or something like that. That's different. A lot of it feels like a little bit performative and redundant to me. It's like, are you making this video of you doing all these making all these smoothies and all these healthy meals and all this stuff? Like, are you actually doing that to like really encourage other people and motivate other people? Or are you just like doing that to just like brag and just perform? And I do want to talk about this a little bit next week with the love episode, romance episode. Like, so much of life nowadays feels performative. People feel the need to perform and create content out of every element of their life, out of their relationship, out of their friendships, out of their eating habits, out of their workouts. And I know you're probably like, girl, you're one to talk. Like, you do this, you do that. And I don't have anything against making content, I guess. I think people need to be very aware of what type of content they're putting out and what type of messages they're putting out and what their actual intention is and whether it's like sustainable for people in the long run, the type of advice they're giving or the type of lifestyle they're promoting, whether that's like actually sustainable for everybody and whether it's sustainable for them. I'm sure it becomes a lot more motivating to do that when you're making money from it. And I totally get that. If your income is TikTok, like, of course you're going to friggin' make TikToks, but it's just threw me for a loop today to have one of my interview questions be, how many TikTok followers do you have? But hey, it's part of my, if I want to get into the digital marketing content arena, which is kind of what I'm doing right now, then that's part of it. It's just adds this pressure to me that I just don't feel like I need right now. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is I think numbers and results and followers and likes and engagement, all of the statistics and analytics very, very much create a business side and a capitalist side to social media and to influencing, and strips a lot of the joy and authenticity and like community-based energy out of social media. When I first started on social media, like, it wasn't really about that. It was just people just being funny and creative online and just like sharing videos of their dogs or like sharing photos of like their Tim Hortons breakfast. Like, I don't know, it was so wholesome. And now it's a big grinding machine of advertisement after advertisement after advertisement. That's like another realm of toxic influencer culture that I wanted to talk about, is just like how much hate they get, and then how we can't really blame them for like coming to a point and being pushed to a point where they have to edit their photos to the point of no return, where they have to censor every single thing they say, where they have to issue apologies all the time, where they have to create like a fake performative perfected version of themselves that's digestible to people online, because they probably received more scrutiny and hate and criticism and nastiness than any of us could ever imagine. And so of course you're going to want to hide your cellulite, or you're going to want to smooth out your skin or whiten your teeth in a photo, because you don't want people to write horrible things on your social media. And even I don't even have many followers, and even I feel a pressure to tweak my photos a little bit, like to add a little bit more like brightness to my eyes, or whiten my teeth, or smooth my skin. Like, I have no issue admitting that. And I don't even like have that many followers. Nobody really cares what I post. So imagine having millions and millions of followers who are invested in you. And I was talking to my friend Kieran about this the other day, because we were talking about Molly May, who's another really, really big influencer. She was on Love Island, and this girl's only 23, and she's received more success and accolades and money and opportunity than like anyone could ever imagine. So I don't necessarily feel bad for her, because she's like living her best life. But she just recently had a baby girl, and she announced the baby's name, and I'm sure she was so excited to like finally share that. And I'm sure people were waiting with bated breath, because I do think there's this expectation with influencers, and you can see all of that going on right now on TikTok with like the Michaela girl, the makeup girl, like that they be honest, transparent, relatable. They keep you updated on everything. They address everything. Like, I don't think a lot of influencers are expected to be private. Like, that's kind of defeats the purpose of opening up your life and making money from your life off the internet. People want to be able to like get an inside glimpse into your life. So it's like this expectation of, you will apologize for this thing you said that hurt my feelings, because I'm one of your followers, and if you didn't have me, you wouldn't be as successful. Or like, you will share the status of your breakup or the status of your relationship because you owe that to us, because we are your followers. And if we didn't follow you, you wouldn't have money and you wouldn't be successful and you wouldn't have that house or have that car. So I do think there's this entitlement when it comes to influencers, more so than like traditional celebrities, like someone who's an actor or a singer or a director. Like, there is this expectation with influencer culture and just social media in general that people be very transparent and authentic and keep everybody abreast and up to date on everything all the time. So that's where I do have empathy and sympathy for influencers and for creators and TikTokers and stuff. And I know a lot of people probably do not agree with me and they're like, these are the most privileged people on earth. Like, but I receive the odd little shitty comment on my YouTube or whatever from men, probably incels, like, to be honest, who have like one subscriber themselves and whatever. And so they comment about me and how ugly I am or how annoying I am or whatever. And I'm not gonna lie, it kind of hurts my feelings. And these are guys who are like inarticulate losers, you know, like, I really don't take what they're saying that seriously. But I can imagine if a bunch of women or a bunch of people who I considered like my peers were like commenting, and it takes a toll for sure. And I'm experiencing it on like the smallest scale. And so, you know, when you're sharing yourself and opening yourself up to the world in whatever medium you're choosing to do, whether that be through TikTok, through Instagram, through blogging, through podcasting, it is brave. It's not easy, and it puts you in a very vulnerable position. And it is a choice. So that's why I actively choose every single week to do this podcast and to put myself out there, because I personally think that it's like what I was put on this earth to do. And I think that I am making some sort of positive impact and I enjoy it. And that's all there is to it. But if you're not brave enough to do what all these other people are doing, to post, you know, the ins and outs of your life and share your thoughts and share your feelings and talk about your children and talk about your parenting mistakes and talk about your dating mistakes, then shut the fuck up. If you don't even have the bravery or the balls or the commitment or the persistence or the drive to do what they're doing for yourself, then stop, because you're just jealous and you're just bored. Now, if somebody actually does something very controversial and it offends you in whatever way, then that's a different story. But if you're just ripping someone apart because they posted a bikini photo, then it's just like, just stop. Like, where's your bikini photo? Like, it's scary enough posting a bikini photo to my 1,000 followers. I can't even imagine like posting a bikini photo to 4 million followers, you know? And yes, a lot of them do glorify them, like, oh, gorgeous, beautiful, perfect. But when you scroll down and you get past all the blue check marks on Instagram, that's when the trolls hide out. They all are hiding under the bridge and they have lots of nasty things to say. And so I think people with a massive following and influence, whether that be an influencer or someone more within a traditional media job, like a late night host or an actor or a musician, like someone who's technically probably more respected within the industry, like a comedian or something. Well, I think that's part of it, is that a lot of people don't consider influencers to have any talent. I don't know what to say on that. I guess we can get into that on another day. I don't know if I agree with that, but I also kind of see the point of like why an actual singer or director or writer would like have more claim and more respect. Like, I do think that's kind of fair. But anyway, we can get into that another time. But I guess the moral to this story is, if you're finding social media, and this is coming from personal experience, and this is what I found has helped with me a lot with my social media, because I do like being on my phone. I like social media. I'm not going to deny that. My personal favorite is Pinterest, because it's like all the media and no social, and it's great. Like, there's no freaking DMs or stories, or it's just everything else is too inundating. It's like stimulation overload. I personally love Pinterest, and I know a lot of people like Twitter for that reason too. It's just like a little bit more simple. But yeah, so just be careful with what you're consuming. Be careful with what you're buying into, what you're being influenced by, what you're exposing yourself to. It's your responsibility, if you want to spend a lot of time on social media, to create a safe space for yourself as best as you can. You won't be able to shelter yourself from every single thing because there's obviously all this, like all these advertisements and sponsored posts and stuff that get pushed onto your page or your feed. But go through your following list. I recommend this to people all the time, and unfollow people that don't make you feel good about yourself in whatever way. You don't have to justify, you don't have to explain it. If it's just because of the way they look, if it's because of the way they talk, if it's because of, hi, baby girl. Baby girl. It's Angel. It's my angel on earth. Hi. Say hi to the podcast. Say hi to the podcast. Say hi to the podcast.
Hi guys, it's Darla. It's Darla.
Good girl. Good podcasting. That was a word from Darla, my first sponsor. Oh, she's trying to get at my Reese's peanut butter cups. Anyway, yeah, so just do that. I would say go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and then alternatively, go through and take recommendations from friends or follow people who make you laugh or make you think or make you feel good or make you inspired, like people who actually create content that's like thoughtful and funny and creative and relatable, like someone like Michael Burke. I don't know if you guys follow him, but he's so funny. And Amanda and I love him, and we share his videos all the time. He is an influencer and content creator that I am obsessed with, and I could just sit there and watch his videos all the time because they're funny, and he's like doing skits and role playing, and it's more than just like, here's a mascara. It's so pretty. Like, it's more than that. But even the girlies who are doing that, like, good for them. Good for them for climbing the ladder and getting there. I don't know. I guess I would just say it's not going anywhere anytime soon. This whole influencer culture and face tuning and censoring things and just being phony baloney online. We're all guilty of being a little bit phony online and presenting only the best versions of ourselves. So it's up to you as a consumer to wear your detective glasses a little bit and just be aware of when something's an advertisement or when something's edited or when something's photoshopped or whenever you're trying to be influenced in one way or another. And then there's lots of times I've like full out wasted money and spent money because I bought this dream perfume that everyone was talking about, and it's like I buy, I don't even like it. I'm like, okay, well, damn, like I was really influenced there. So the only thing that really stresses me out is the kids. I do worry about the children. I worry about the youth because they don't have those same discernment skills and experience to know what life was like before social media. And all of them, like if you ask most kids now who are like in 9th grade what their dream job is, like the majority of them will say, I want to be a TikToker or I want to be an influencer. And that's the truth. And I probably would have said the same thing if I was born in that era. When I was that age, I said I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be a pop star, a celebrity. And I still feel the same way, which is all fine and good. But sometimes I wish there was like a little bit more of a push towards just like traditional values. I don't know, like everyone's just influencing on material stuff and beauty and hustle culture. And it's just like, do more, buy more, go more places, spend more money. Like it's not always the right messaging. So if I was ever an influencer, of course I would have to probably do my little ad deals to make a bit of money. I still am hoping OxiClean will be the first sponsor of this podcast because I have the most love in my heart for OxiClean. But yeah, definitely I would really try to be influential in the sense where I'm encouraging mental health, do everything as authentically and honestly as I can, and really talk to people in a grounded way. And always consider how this might impact a younger audience whenever I'm doing anything and saying anything and promoting anything, because there's going to be a new hot girl every other month, like the new it girl who's skinny and funny and perfect and dating the right person or whatever. But like, I don't know. I think I'm trying to think a little more long term than that. I don't want to just be a flash in the pan or have 15 minutes of fame. Like, I'd like to have a more long standing positive influence. Social media, these apps and these platforms make money. So money is the biggest driving factor for everyone. And for all of these platforms, they don't care about people's mental health. They don't care about what kids are watching. They don't care about who they're offending. They care about how many eyes are going to go to that video and how that's going to translate into money, which is not necessarily a bad thing. That's the world we live in. But I've just personally made a big effort to educate myself on how I've been literally brainwashed since I was a kid through social media, through magazines, not just social media, like through magazines, through movies and music. Like it's all types of media that we're being influenced by. But obviously now everything pretty much is all social media targeted. But yeah, it's quite shocking to look back at old magazines or TV shows and just see like the type of jokes that were being made and how women were being ripped apart if they had like, oh, so-and-so hasn't lost their baby belly, or this actress looks like a beached whale on the beach on their vacation. Like, it's literally horrendous. I don't know why people think that things are so much different now, because they're honestly not that different. It's just instead of seeing it on paper at an airport, you're just seeing it briefly as you're scrolling through your For You page, or someone making a nasty comment on TikTok or something. So yeah, I definitely hope that there's some positive changes within the whole social media influencing realm. And I hope mental health and body positivity and inclusivity becomes even more of a focus. I think we're getting there. I think there's baby steps for sure towards that direction. I hope people continue to share factual information about everything: health, beauty, fitness, sex, lifestyle. I am all for having more like actual doctors, lawyers, trained professionals, teachers, people who actually know what they're doing and how to communicate things properly. I'm all for those people being all over social media and talking to the kids and talking to people and giving actual advice that's grounded and sane. But yeah, people like Andrew Tate are the reason I hate the internet sometimes. And so I guess I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, this episode was a little bit random. I apologize. I didn't really know what I was going to talk about. I just sat down and started talking. And apparently that's the number one thing you're not supposed to do with a podcast. I was like doing research on how to grow your podcast and stuff. And they were like, nobody wants to hear you just sit and talk for an hour. So don't do that. And make sure you have, a firm plot or plan or outline or derivative. And I'm like, oopsies, that's literally what I do. But I just wanted to get something out to you guys this week. You can also follow me on TikTok if you want. YouTube, of course. Please subscribe if you're watching this, and follow me on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and just make sure that you click the plus button at the top to actually subscribe. And that way you will always be notified when there's a new episode out, and it will really help me out on my end of things with analytics. And next time a potential client or boss asks me how many followers I have, hopefully it'll be a little bit higher than it was today. So, okay guys, I love you. Take a nice big break from your phones after this video and after you follow me. Put your phones down, smoke a little bit of ganja, go out for a walk, just listen to some music, and remember that real reality is actually truly way more interesting and entertaining than anything going on your phone. Money does not guarantee happiness. Followers does not guarantee happiness. Success, engagement, none of that guarantees happiness. At the end of the day, you need to be good and secure with what's going on in here and in here, your brain and your heart, for those of you not watching on YouTube. And you need to know what your core values and tenets and goals are as a human being on this earth, and what your true purpose is. And your purpose, I guarantee you, is a lot bigger and a lot more important than reaching 100,000 followers. Why? If you do have that many followers, that's amazing, but what are you going to do with that? And how are you going to positively impact the world? If you are creating content, just make sure that you're being cautious of how it's going to impact people's mental health and people's image of themselves. And if you're consuming content, you also need to be equally aware of if it's good for you, if it's bad for you, how it's impacting you. And no one's holding a gun to your head making you scroll and doom scroll through your phone. So it's truly like the biggest test of strength to actually just put your phone down when you're in the middle of a doom scroll. Like, I just can't stop sometimes. It's like a compulsion. So if you're going to be stuck on your phone for a doom scroll once a day or twice a day, then all I'm saying is try to make sure that you're exposing yourself to good, educational, coherent, well-formed, exciting, positive content, and not, I've gone on far too long here. My battery's probably going to die. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Go Browns. Woo! That is one thing I do know about football. They are not playing. It's the Philadelphia something versus the Chiefs. What's the Philadelphia team? What are they? The Philadelphia... I can't remember. I was going to ask my dad, but it doesn't matter. You guys can write below. Comment below what the Philadelphia team's actual name is. And then it's Kansas City Chiefs. And I know that there's the Kelsey brothers. I'm a football girl, so go Browns. Okay, guys. Love you. Bye. I will see you next week. Make sure you put your phone down, take some deep breaths, and enjoy your 20s.